Hi, my name is Simon. I'm the founder of cside. Cside is set out to solve the security risk of third-party JavaScript. When writing code as a front-end developer, it's impossible to avoid using third-party JavaScript. This is called a supply chain, and there's companies like ChainGuard, Socket, or Sneak that do an excellent job at securing a part of the supply chain, specifically the part of registries like Node Package Manager. But realistically, that's not where the attack vector stops. There's a third-party JavaScript out there that we all use and heavily depend on that we often forget about, and those are the ones that we implement to be fetched by the browser of the user. These are often tools like analytics and captchas and chatbots. But when these scripts get into the wrong people's hands, of course, they are incredibly powerful weapons. They can listen in on people's inputted data, so basically stealing people's credit card information, login credentials, or they can change the content on the website to rewrite things like bank account numbers or crypto wallet IDs. They can even run virtual machines in the browser of the user or mine cryptocurrency. The attack vector is quite large, and the ways that you can actually pull off an attack like this is, well, you can get quite creative. And so this brings us to the bigger problem. Most professional websites have over 30 of these scripts, with some of them over 70 even. So there's just simply too many scripts to babysit. You may be shocked by the amount of scripts that I mentioned now, so allow me to explain how this comes about. As a web developer, you're writing safe code, you're using dependencies that are being monitored and are definitely in the longer term being maintained to make sure your infrastructure is safe, and you make sure none of your code is ever making it into production without a second person having reviewed it. That all makes sense. Those are excellent security things to do. But then when you actually put the application in production, you notice that you need to monitor the errors that users bump into, and specifically the few actions that they took before that. So for that, you use an error handling tool. And an error handling tool is something that is a third-party script. Later on, the legal team may stop by saying, hey, for compliance, we need a cookie banner, which is also going to be a third-party script. And then the data team stops by saying, hey, actually, we want you to add this new analytics script, but they forget to tell you that the old one is no longer in use and you should remove it. So now both of them exist on the website. Often, the developer is not actually given a lot of context about what these scripts do, so they end up deploying them globally across the website, which of course means that they're now on pages that they probably shouldn't be on. And often a security engineer or a front-end engineer gets to review these scripts once at the beginning. But these scripts change all the time, with most of them changing at least weekly. Most websites do not have any protection in place for third-party JavaScript at all. This attack vector has been around since 2010 when people started deploying these third-party scripts. Some of you may remember the British Airways attack of 2018, in which about 500,000 people's credit card information was stolen. Well, that attack is not purely a third-party JavaScript attack. A few things have happened there. But the data was being exfiltrated to a third-party zone, which you could have seen on the browser of the user, and that domain was baways.com. Today, that domain, baways.com, is owned by us, cside. So we had a full write-out on that incident on our website explaining all the things that went wrong in an attempt to educate people on the risks of using these third-party scripts and try to prevent a similar style attack. Other airliners have also faced this type of attack, companies like EasyJet or in 2023 Air Europa. But then there's also lots of brands like Ticketmaster and Tupperware that have had this attack. There have even been examples where over 400,000 websites were impacted, among which The Guardian, Nintendo and Hulu, through a package named polyfill.io. Third parties get access to data that they shouldn't have access to, because their script is deployed globally to a website. To give you an example, in March of 2024, an American company by the name of Kaiser Permanente had to declare an incident because 13 million people's healthcare data were accidentally exposed to these third-party scripts. These third parties are legitimate companies, but they're simply not rated to handle healthcare data. So next time when you enter your login credentials into a web page, have a quick look in the developer console and have a look at which third-party scripts run there. You'll probably be surprised how many scripts are there that shouldn't be there. So this brings us to cside. When we did our research of this broader industry, we noticed that the majority of vendors fundamentally oversell, underachieve at a high cost, making them unapproachable to the majority of websites out there today. They often also review the sources of scripts against threat feeds and not actually inspect the payload of the scripts themselves. You may ask, well, what are threat feeds? Well, threat feed vendors are kind of a bizarre thing. They're literally companies that monitor social media, crawl the web looking for attacks that they saw before, and doing a bunch of manual review. And they're tasked with creating a list of bad sources and sharing that with security companies to prevent them from delivering bad scripts to people. The approach of threat feeds fundamentally doesn't work for a few reasons, but primarily, they don't know what they don't know, so they can't recognize a new type of attack, making zero-day attacks fly below the radar. It's kind of a legacy industry, and we feel like in 2024 there's better ways of doing that, especially in the age of AI. With cside, scripts don't get fetched directly by the browser of the user, but instead, cside sits between that third party and the user. We're giving us full insight into the scripts that are being loaded and preventing bad scripts from making it there. We're even storing the scripts to improve our detection capabilities over time or aid you in dealing with an investigation, making it able to detect very sophisticated attacks and zero-day attacks. So your users are not directly touching those third-party scripts. We live in the flow of that, and as a result, we see what those scripts actually are, and we use a range of detection mechanisms, some of which are using AI, to monitor which are legitimate and which should not be delivered. All you gotta do is add one line of code, and that one line of code basically sets all of these requests to go through cside. Cside will also not have a negative impact on your performance. We are often able to accelerate third-party scripts by over 20%. The goal of cside is to close down the third-party JavaScript attack vector in its totality, and we want to make web security more accessible to all. Cside is therefore also competitively priced. We offer a free tier, a business tier, and an enterprise tier, maximizing the efficiency for your business, so you can simply onboard and just use our product. Go to cside.dev now to try out our product. Thank you.